Hello everyone, and welcome to yet another episode of the World of Sasquatch. Today we are out in the boonies of Washington State, out in the forest here, as you can see. And forgive any car noises that might go by here, or motorcycles, or anything else obnoxious. But this group of Sasquatch wanted us to come out here, out in the boonies, to be able to talk to them. And it's a little buggy out here, so sorry if I'm itching. But they wanted us to come out here because they weren't going to risk coming into the human realm, as they put it. They assisted on some sessions I was doing. They saw it was too risky because we were near a military base. So they didn't want to come into Darrington, but this is just outside of Darrington. So, with that, Joanna?
Yeah, hi everybody. So we want to add the discussion today, talking with the local Sasquatch. But before we do that, I thought you guys would find it interesting to hear us talk about our experiences with the Sasquatch over in Japan. So the one thing that we said to everyone before in some of these is that you have different clans of Sasquatch, and they approach life and interactions differently. All of them do. Some of them have had good experiences and are optimistic. Some of them may not have had such good experiences and are standoffish, kind of waiting for humans to recognize them more of a race that should be respected, just like we want to be respected, versus more of an animal type being, where we tend not to think of an animal as residing in a territory, owning a territory, or living in a territory. And so there are certain hurdles that have to become overcome. And so some of the Sasquatch tribes are reluctant to interact with humans right now until more of that realization occurs. Again, sorry for the noise. We can only venture off so far from the road, and so you are going to hear traffic come by every now and then. And
people are picking the loudest vehicles ever invented. So
it is kind of funny. So with that, Chris, I thought, because I don't think a lot of the people listening on the radio, we're now broadcasting on radio as well as YouTube, that these people really understand our experiences that occurred in Japan, meeting those Sasquatch tribes for the first time and their interactions. So I thought it would be a good review if we talk about that clan first.
Yes, in Japan on the way to Fukushima, we ran into a clan of Sasquatch that were very standoffish. We spoke about this in the Fukushima episode, but to recap, they were very standoffish of me in particular because of my skill set. And they were afraid that I was going to perform dark magic on them because that had been done to them before. And yes, there are dark magicians there that exist in Japan even to this day. They have been around since Seime's time frame. I'm thinking that's roughly 800 to 1,000 years. If I'm off on the history, sorry, but then it even goes all the way up to the Japanese Civil War, which wasn't all that long ago in retrospect. So these particular Sasquatch, not only were they upset about the nuclear disaster at Fukushima, they are upset about dark sorcery on the other end of it. So when I helped them out, they became less standoffish and more apt to talk. Yes, and those particular Sasquatch did assist in several sessions while I was there. I have not heard from them since I came back from the States, but they were very grateful to be unbound, since a dark magician did bind several of them etherically. See, we have a physical body and a light body. Your light body can become bound at the wrists, even though your physical body looks just perfectly fine. And dark sorcerers, what they'll do is they'll bind the light body, either to try to get somebody to be a servant or to cast aside somebody they see as a threat. And I believe with them, those dark magicians saw them as both. And the ones in Oregon, when we passed through Oregon, were concerned about the same thing with dark sorcery and also pollutants, chemicals, things of that nature. The ones in this area, they didn't want to be near the military base, so they requested we come out here in order to interact.
But the interesting thing about, again, Japan is their spiritual beliefs, just of the people of Japan, their spiritual beliefs. So they are more spiritually inclined. I think everyone has heard about, the concepts of feng shui. They believe in a lot of blessings. Well, this has been carried down from their culture, for thousands of years. And so they have always had a part of reaching out to other beings, even for assistance. So when we talk about being potentially bound, even in their depictions of Buddha, one of the things that Buddha is known for is being able to conquer and bind and control some of what they would have considered the more negative spiritual entities out there. So they're even in a lot of the artwork where you see, they're depicted as literally being bound at the arms, and Buddha was controlling them to get them to do what he wanted them to do versus maybe what their natural nature would have them do. Mm-hmm. So this type of sorcery, I guess you would call it, where people, even to this day in Japan, talk about dark magic and white magic. Are you a dark witch or a white witch? What are you and what are you doing? But there still seems to be some knowledge deficit, I think, or they've forgotten from a long history, about literally what they potentially have done and are doing over time. So there was, of course, the issues with just dark magic. When we were going to Fukushima, of course, there was the incident at Fukushima that started irradiating the forests in different areas around as well, turning the land. And so you're dealing with a clan that had a lot of different reasons to be extremely standoffish and concerned. One of the things I think that calmed them down is when we asked them to recognize what we were trying to bring into the area, which they knew what the shungite was. They know the effects of shungite and what it's used for. Mm-hmm. So, and they were present for our talk and for our blessing. So it gave them, I think, hope. And also at that time, I think they were able to intermingle with some other galactics who came in as well to make contact with them. Mm-hmm. One of the issues, interesting though, is let's say all of that happened and they were feeling better. Does that naturally change someone's behavior and someone's thought processes? Does it actually change it all the time? And instantly? And the answer is no, because a few days later, when we were back in Tokyo, there were actually some problems that were beginning to occur. And believe it or not, it was those local Sasquatch who were then there, but they were being very picky as to whom we were communicating with, what messages were being given to us, and they actually, out of their own anxiety, they actually started blocking communication between us and other guides and other people. So I don't know if you want to mention that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they do some of the blocking, everyone. If they are nervous or they have anxiety over different communications, like when we were down in Arizona, the tribe that was Fuma's tribe that is there. Even their leader, Sufas, was a little iffy about bringing the skull edifices into that territory. He allowed it, he just said there was a limit. The ones in Japan were very paranoid about skull edifices. The ones in Oregon were concerned. They weren't quite the Japanese level ones. The ones here are kind of in between there. So it depends from clan to clan. First I thought Fuma was joking when he said, "Oh, they talk too much." Well, one of the things they're concerned about is when skulls become hijacked, and they can become like a lens or a focal point for something they don't want contact with at all. They don't mind the beings that are in them currently, but the skull like Isaac uses. Say if Isaac would get vacated from there, they were concerned it would become a focal point, kind of like that crystal ball or that seeing eye that was in Lord of the Rings, where Sauron would look through that ball and be able to see and entangle with anything that he was looking at. It's the same concept with the skull edifices and crystal balls and large crystals. The large crystals are cool, but the bigger they are, more of a being can inhabit them. Now, can they be down to a small edifice? Yes, but more of something can transmit through a larger one, just like with any computer or anything like that. So, or antenna or something like that. That's what they're ultimately concerned about. That it might be used as like a spying edifice versus a just the being inside. The being inside, they're not concerned about unless it's something negative that's being ferried from one part of the country to another inadvertently. That's one of the things they're ultimately concerned with, and then the fact that the Cabal hunts them too, just like they do with the Lyrants. So that's another thing that they're concerned about as well. They're trying to steer clear of the Cabal. That's why they wanted us to be as far away from that base as we could get today. This seems to be like a good middle ground for them. I don't know how long they're going to stick around, but this seems to be a good middle ground. We came out to gift items today. This doll that I did quite some time ago, and a bag of shungite. We'll throw that, the shungite, within the trees and stuff here after we're done with this this program. I'll have a little video afterwards done on my phone of gifting doll and the shungite.
So going back to Japan, when those Sasquatch kind of started blocking, do you recall what occurred?
It was just more or less like a static. An overlay, I should say, is more accurate. Over, like, say, Isaac, for instance. It just looked like he was speaking gibberish, like blah, 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 blah. And that's all it looked like. And that's what it looked like from my perspective. And that, like, he was very jittery. And the only beings that were not jittery were the forest people. And so I was able to determine at that time that they were the ones doing the blocking. And it was just strictly out of fear. This wasn't out of hate or malice or anything like that. It was because they were afraid. And they were in a defensive posture because they were afraid. And so that they would block. Now, have the ones here done that to a certain extent? Yes, I've noticed they've been doing the same thing. And I politely asked them to not do that because I have to be in contact with the skulls and the edifices. At least Isaac. And they were iffy again about the skulls. But I believe their true concern, though, about them was two that we had with us, which I probably should have brought out here, but I didn't realize had been hijacked. There were two small blue ones that I didn't realize had been hijacked. I believe that was part of their concern. But anyway, when we were in Japan, if you're able to see a being within a skull edifice, if you have that level of capability, just know the face that you normally would see, the being like Isaac or any other, becomes kind of jittery and staticky, like just shaky, like this, and then the speech is all screwed up, like blah, 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 and that usually indicates that they're being blocked in some way, which is harder to do for edifices too. This is why some of these beings choose edifices, because they're much harder to block because they're in your home versus a being transmitting from outer space or underground in Agartha or somewhere else to actually come to you and bilocate, there is a part of them already there with you in the room, as if you were talking to somebody next to you. And so it's much easier to do, and that's also the reason for the concern for these forest people.
Right, and so we're taking a lot of time to point this out because everyone needs to understand there's a lot of issues to be dealt with and resolved before they would ever feel safe to just come out in public. And I can't reiterate enough because I don't think the average public knows that they are literally hunted by the military. They look for people who can make contact with them. They will monitor the person who's making contact with them, and they will literally follow your path to go and try and hunt them. The same for the Lyrans. So it's not as simple as you guys think, or many of you think, as far as making this contact and disclosure. There's a lot of effort from certain groups of humans that do not want this to occur, and they are trying everything they can to not let this occur. So we want to give you this because they are going to be potentially standoffish, uncomfortable, unsure. And if you don't know the ins and outs of all of this, you may innocently be bringing things they're even looking on you to see if an etheric tracker device has been put on you. So I mean,
so it's nothing personal.
This isn't personal. You guys, the goal is we want to enlighten everybody on the broader aspect of this whole entire conversation, because I think for many of you, you would be horrified to think that you led to one of these beings being captured. And so you just need to know all of the different aspects of this. So
if you're a targeted individual, it's going to be much harder for you to make contact with some of these groups. It is absolutely nothing personal. It is because they feel for you if that is happening to you, but they cannot risk the safety of their clans either.
Right. As if you wouldn't risk the safety of your family. So just broaden your understand, but in the world of co-creation and the fact that we're working on our skills to co-create, spend some time seeing yourself happily interacting, that they're safe to come out. Go ahead and vision into the future and spend some time daydreaming of that occurring, because your co-creative skills will help break down some of these other barriers that are keeping this from happening. It is inevitable, folks. We are going to meet all of these beings. When we do, has a lot to do with breaking down the barriers and honestly us learning the skills that we have to be great co-creators and how to co-create. And this is one of those things. You actually envision what you want. If you want to be interacting with Sasquatch, if you want them to be your neighbors, if you want to see them watch their children play, have a really good relationship, start envisioning what that looks like. What smells are in the air. If you're sharing food, what does the food taste like? Are you laughing? What are you joking about? You have to learn to start co-creating things into your life in a proper way. You don't focus on fears. You don't focus on problems. You focus on what you want it to occur in as much detail as possible. And that will start to open the door and also let the Sasquatch know what your intentions are, and that's really important as well. So they need to know what the goal is and what you're aiming for, and then sometimes they'll be a little bit braver to try and make contact as well. So please take in what we've said about that aspect. But for right now, let's talk we'll get more specific. So let's talk about the locals here.
Yeah, the locals here, you may have heard them on the last episode of The Lifting that we did. One of the locals was talking about conjurings, Ouija boards, and other groups that have come out to these locations, especially in the Northwest here. Basically, I call Washington their capital because there's so many of them out here. And Vancouver Island up in Canada. Basically, Canada is more their capital, actually. But the local groups were talking about how they needed their boundaries respected, how they needed to not have just random groups coming out and yelling in the woods. They actually see that as an insult. You have to be at a certain pitch and tone for them to be on that communication level where they go ah, to each other. When a human does it, it's more or less like somebody that's tone deaf, or somebody that's not, say, playing an instrument right, where it sound, or like say bagpipes, for instance. If you're not experienced in playing bagpipes, don't play bagpipes. Because it's going to sound like you're skinning a cat. So don't do that. It's the same thing to them. It's irritating. So don't do that. Any of the things you were thinking of that you're seeing some Sasquatch groups do, don't do them. Because they see some of these clans see it as an insult, and we won't communicate. Also, back to the targeted individual concept, you don't know who in that group is, so it's best to find those things about yourself first before engaging with the forest people. This is something that this clan here is quite strict about. And also paranormal groups, any of them that are into conjuring, ghost boxes, Ouija boards, pendulums. This group here is very, very well. They're insulted by Ouija boards, since those are automatically a trap. But pendulums, they're iffy about. Ghost boxes are very iffy about, because it's binary network AI. So any of these things, come out here, don't do them. Respect them enough to communicate in the way they wish it. And they will come to you, usually, if they want communication. But if you wish to engage them in communication, do it right. You have an open heart when you come out here. Put the intention out there that you're wishing communication, you're wishing to know who they are and what they're all about. And do it in a kind way and not a forceful way. Not like, oh, I'm going to communicate with Sasquatch, and how do you like that? Or you're wanting to get a trophy for your wall. Dumb. Don't do that. Not unless you want to really piss them off. So if I could tell anybody that would be it. And I know they're giving that to me as well, because they're basically saying, tell people not to hunt us. We're your equals. So sorry, there's a lot of bugs out here, so they're not getting my legs or anything, they're just getting me in the face. I'm also being told by several of them out here that no, your eyes can be cameras, etherically. Meaning I've found triangles in people's eyes that were actually etherically, holographically based force light technology type cameras. Photonic cameras is what they are. And they usually hit abductees or targeted individuals. They can see whatever you're looking at, just like as if you had cameras in your glasses. And that can happen too with the crystals in the glasses. So that's another thing they're concerned about.
Did they see any? I'm sure they've scanned us.
Oh yeah.
Are they seeing anything they need to get rid of?
They said plenty, but it's at intolerable levels.
Okay.
This tribe is very blunt and to the point. They don't mess around. They want to be humorous with people. They want to joke around and have fun with people and everything. But given this particular set of circumstances, they're going to be as blunt can get. So, and then I think that we would have it no other way. Mm-hmm. So, the others. I swear he was standing inside of this tree right here. There's like a hollowed out tree right here. And there's one that's poked up through here. Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know if he came in a portal through the tree. Absolutely. Okay. Doorway in this tree or the living one? Oh wait, this one is still alive because okay. Yeah, I know everything's living. Thank you. But they're very no. That's another blunt thing. Yeah, of course, everything's living. Even if it's dead wood on the ground, it still has the essence of the dryad consciousness in there. So that's what he was pointing out. So, all right. Oh, and now he's joking a little bit, saying I don't have to apologize each time I step on something. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right. Oh, he says it's disgusting. Okay, thank you. But who are you anyway? Yes, your name. Yes, your name. Heart space, please.
Or the name you want to use.
Okay. Yeah, the name you want to use. Your name is not Chuck. Okay,
That's a good name, though.
we both know it's not Chuck, but okay.
No.
It's more of like you have more of a longer like native type name or Viking type name or Lemurian name, but we'll leave it at Chuck. He said very astute. Okay. He's if I could describe him, I'm seeing him out of the corner of my eye. Look at directly, I can't see him. I'm seeing him this way. This is why I'm looking this way. But lighter brown hair, kind of like let's see if I can find a tone like this dead leaf here. Yes, I know everything's not. I understand. Okay, yeah, it's this color. He's this color, and kind of like a brown blonde. Okay. Oh, and you're playing jokes on me by sending a bunch of bugs up to me, too. Okay. So, probably expect a bunch of flies to be orbiting our heads or something here. If you want. Okay.
No, we prefer not to, but okay.
No, he's laughing. So. There's a bunch of them out this way, too. They're all large. There's a couple female ones with babies off that. I'm thinking we're close to a colony or something. Ancient grounds, ancient colony grounds. Yes. Okay. Hang on, I'm going to take these off. Alright. Alright. Okay, Chuck. Okay, that makes me laugh when you use that name, but okay. Yeah. Isaac just called him Chucky. Like the Child's Play doll with the butcher knife. Yeah. Okay. Wait a minute, there's not just Sasquatch out here. There's other elementals out here too.
I would hope so.
Plant elementals like how Ray was, with the bearded giant ones of the tree, gnarled tree. And there's several of the ones that I encountered on the Viking Council not too long ago that had that blade-like face with little spikes. Yeah, there's several of them out here too that look like they're covered in moss.
Interesting, because I was just looking at a large one that I literally saw, Chris, with my physical eyes. I first thought, well, isn't that interesting to see a log on its side carved out to a face with moss on it. And
there's several of them out here, yeah.
Right, but it was right beside this tree, and as you can see, it's no longer there. So that's why I'm like, oh, that wasn't a tree log. That was a real one making itself known to me, because literally it's not there right now.
And the thing of it is, you never heard that broadcast on Viking that I did. They said that they could literally look like trees right next to you and watch you.
Well, I'm saying, if you can imagine somebody, and I know this is hard on radio, but if you can imagine, a little doorway, think of the tree as the door, and, like someone's peering over it, and all you kind of see is their heads, they're peering in, so their head's kind of sideways. That's actually what I saw, but it was more towards the ground, and when you just said that, I looked back, and I'm like, I'll be darned, that log is no longer there, so it was something real. Oh, yeah. So, anyway, just to let you know.
Yes, and it looks like Chucky here is, yes, Isaac's laughing because I called him Chucky. Oh, and the Fjorgi are out here too.
Okay.
Yeah, so, well, I brought Noppen with us. He's in the car, so, but there are several Fjorgi around. I can hardly see everybody. They're in such an obscure frequency that they just blob in and out, like flashes of lightning, like, they're in a very narrow bandwidth. Very, very narrow bandwidth. That's hard to connect to. For a reason. The reasons that we stated, yes. So humans must rise to the occasion, they're saying. So, okay. Who wants to talk out of all of you? Is it Chucky? Okay. Okay, your name is Chucky, not Chuck now. Okay, okay, because Isaac gave you the nickname. Okay. So Isaac just says he resembles a Chucky, so he's... no, Isaac is not up Chucky. Okay.
No, stop.
Okay. Now Isaac's in the background going, so, okay.
Enough.
Okay. They're just ignoring him. Most of them are ignoring him, so... Chucky says the court gesture is to be seen nor heard. So that's what they're saying. Okay. All right.
Do you want me to hold these while
Yeah,
you do that?
yeah. These a little
Okay.
bag, yeah. All right. Yeah, it's nice and peaceful out here now. Okay, Chucky. Oh, you did that on purpose to get my energy up. There's hundreds of different beings out here. All curious. Please understand that we mean none of you any disrespect. Our territory is a sacred temple to us, you would say. And in this, we ask that you regard it as such. I use this pseudonym for a reason. Think of a buffer in between, a shield. Most of your galactics do the same. Think of a thread or a portal that can be formed out of a single syllable of a word. Think of a portal that could be formed out of a thought train, you would say. Think of your essence, not only in this time frame you find yourself in, as you see time to be as well as a line, but think of it this way, and this way. And at any point, there is another portion of yourselves that could consider themselves equally as sovereign, and try to reemerge in the now. You would see this as a rogue expression. This is something that concerns us in this timeline folding, because a portion of yourself arced across time may have a completely different agenda than what your current self has. Consider someone who was in your secret space programs or any other programs militaristically wise. The agenda that needed to exist then is not applicable to the present in this more peaceful time, or time of magic, you would say. The warrior is indeed important. As you say, retool it and fight and defend as we do. There is nothing wrong with this. But just know certain vibrations that existed at that time are not needed now. Yes, memories now, yes. But when that erupts into the ether, just know it sends out a shockwave that is felt at all points in creation. No matter where you are. If there is one of those threads and openings close by, it can form a crack. And that crack can form a fissure, and then that fissure form a portal or an opening for someone from that time frame, or even a version of yourself to come through with that agenda from so long ago intact. We're not saying that agenda was wrong for the time frame that it was created in. Nothing wrong with this. We are just saying times change. People change. Agendas change. So the thing to listen to is your own higher essence that spans even beyond that other version. Whatever agenda that other version had is not applicable to the now, and hence will not be tolerated by this tribe. We are not saying it's anything personal, but that was the agenda that may have led to the targeting. We're not saying you have not been victimized by these things. Any of you listening to this, we are not saying this at all. So do not take this personally. But that agenda involved certain wavelengths that, while positive and benevolent, may still impact this energy differently. Because I do not think any of you know how quite long ago some of these events in your hidden past have taken. Some were created in a time that will never come again. And this is not to say that this is a sad thing. A better time comes where certain things are not needed, and it will be better than it was then. Know that the reason we focus on this subject of targeted people is that the more you emphasize, the more you co-create and bring into the now the fact that you are targeted, that bullseye or crosshairs becomes a fact. Yes, you can loosely say, yes, I've been targeted, but always refer to it as been. It has been targeted. Or you have been targeted in the past. And periodically, some things happen. That's another way to put it. But to say so strongly that you are. No. The bad guys follow that thread and thought train, and it is no different than giving consent. Yes, you can say you are targeted and have been targeted, but do not reaffirm it, and do not think that just because you remember certain things that you have to bring the agenda or path back with the thoughts. Yes, bring all the memories back that you wish. There is nothing wrong with this. But the fear and anguish, depression, anger, you would call PTSD, cannot come with it because of the energetic ramifications that happen around you. We know this is a difficult and daunting task that we ask, but this is a form of inner work that will allow our two races to form a lasting bond. This is what I came in to say today, but I will entertain questions briefly.
So I really thank you, Chucky, for having this conversation, because I think it really is very, very important, even though I'm sure we'll cover another day where we talk about your clan, but I think it's so important for people to know all of the different aspects that are disabling everyone meeting right now, because there are energetic aspects. There's, like I said, there are people that don't want this to occur. There's actual literal hunting going on, and now what you were getting into were more of the personal inner work that people don't realize, many don't even realize that needs to be done. Mm-hmm. For Chris and I guess it's best to just use Chris and I as an example. Ourselves having a history, having post-traumatic stress issues. And it's interesting because you laid out the gambit. I think Chris deals with it more on bringing the warrior through, and certain militaristic ways through that may no longer serve him now in these energies. It's interesting that you brought up the kind of depression or the fear or whatever, because I have a feeling that is some of what I bring through. Sometimes that gets a bit overwhelming at times. So I can see in your particular conversation some of this stuff being very applicable to our situation. So first and foremost, I guess you would agree that just awareness that these could be issues, and I'm going to get this away from you, compounding issues and different things, that it actually, if you understand that it may actually exist in your life, awareness of it is going to be just the first step. And then, you always are going to have to be doing, I don't mean always, but I mean right now, there's going to have to be looking at this on a regular basis, because as you were explaining, you don't know when these different threads or different new pieces of old memories or whatever that are going to all of a sudden start to intersect, and some of this may bring itself up again. And so I can't seem to get across enough for people the amount of inner work that has to be done to bring them to where they want to be. So I was hoping you would comment a little further on that.
Yes, indeed. The amount of inner work that you must do, as I've said, is a daunting task, or seems that way. But if you wish to compound things, by all means keep things to yourselves. It is important to share all of this amongst yourselves. But as we have stated here, do not consider yourself targeted. This is what these beings look for. Think of this for a minute. You have your groups of militaristic humans, which again, nothing wrong, divided up, not cohesive. They are not cohesive at all, actually. They have an intermediary which worships money and darkness. You have one that controls your religious aspects and one that controls your money aspects. These beings that created these two things want you to consider yourself targeted, because then they can continue to pound. Now, are there other little consents that they try to throw at you? Of course, through your computers, through your other devices, through even your televisions, through your phones, everything. Even the contracts that you sign when you get one of these devices has these spells, you would say, embedded within these. And these can all be revoked, even by being conscious of the fact that these embedded things exist. Also, back to the targeted thing. That thread, they follow. They do not form it. They follow it. Think of them as bloodhounds. They cannot form a non-existent thread or cord, but they can follow one. So, when you form it, since you are a creator being, and by saying you are targeted, this forms the bridge back to the ones that devised the plan to begin with. The very ones that created what you refer to as the false flags of the events within your missing time frames and SSP time frames. The very same ones. And there are a variety more amongst them than even any of you know about. You are seeing this compared to this. And know this: many of those beings do not deteriorate like they do. These are the ones that we have had to aim our sources at, not just the draconians, but other ones as well. There are wars and battles that occur that you know nothing about. This is what we wish to keep you out of. Because the fact that we know your heart is open to the fact that you wish to help us in some respects. We know other people do not know of this, but the ones that do, we know that you wish to help. And I know this has been reiterated. The most help you can give us is by staying out of it and by evolving. Then you can stand with us to help defend when the day comes. We know your military groups are quite capable. We understand this. But again, they're not cohesive under one banner, and they are not, we do not wish to insult, but they are not physically strong. Even with your mechanical enhancements, they are not strong enough to fight back what we do not even wish to name right now. We ask that you put not only the resources towards the helping yourselves, but to change the world around you. Focus on little events, or what you perceive to be little events. Don't focus on, say, disclosure as a whole. Focus on what you wish to help out with to make sure that your version of disclosure may happen. Not in the way that you wish, but in the needed form. Think of it this way. Say what we are helping to fight out there. Say you focus on a particular aspect of that. Say you do not wish to have your food poisoned anymore, or your water poisoned anymore. Focus on those two things, or even that is one thing. And en masse, it will begin to change. This, I can guarantee it. But it also begins with you not seeing the target on your own chest and back, or forehead. That is what I wish to say.
So thank you. So yeah, that was one of the items that was brought up by another group when we were in Japan, the Myrmidon, because they were so happy with what we did in Fukushima, and having all the people that were there concentrating and trying to then have a co-creative moment to, start a cascade of events for its cleaning and for the neutralization and for that part of the country and people to do better. And we were just spending all of our time doing that just for that one little area. And the Myrmidon there had commented, just like you just did, about the importance of teaching people how to begin to truly co-create properly, and then to understand that it's going to be done piece by piece and not as a big, huge objective like, I want to focus on world peace, that's too large, that you start with the littler events. And again, maybe, I've had my say on how I believe people can co-create. They don't even know how to, they're co-creating all the time and they don't even know what they're doing. But I was wanting to just expand on that for a second to get your thoughts on what is it about the clean food. Let's start there. You're not going to be ingesting toxins in my food. It has stopped. It's not happening anymore. This, that, and the other. What is it exactly that a person spends time focusing on? Is it just seeing it not occurring, that their body's healthier, and they're just daydreaming all of those visions, or is there something more to it?
That is half the picture. The other portion of it is don't ingest the toxins to begin with. Wantonly putting it in your system, yes, you can bless these things through intention. However, the other half of the picture is don't put it in you. I know your options are limited currently because your police state, as you call them, wishes to poison through the air, through the water, and through the food. It's a triple prong attack, you see. So, in this, we know you can't cover the air one, and you can't always cover the water one, but you can cover the food one and the water one to a slightly lesser degree. Even though your intentions will change water, there are still certain things there that you know nothing about. Certain viruses, certain contagions that you know nothing about that have come from space. Different additives that are unknown to you because they come from different worlds entirely and different species entirely. You may notice certain, you would say, viruses and certain contagions that are just mysteriously popping up. Where do you think they come from? They are not naturally from this world. They do affect us as well, but I digress. Don't always put these things in you. Now, if you absolutely must have it to be able to wean off of these things, yes, the intention, fully. Not only that, your substance of shungite put around it will cleanse it to at least 80% capacity. But there are still certain aspects in there that have been programmed that you can also weed out with intention. But the object is, would you drink strychnine or arsenic knowing what it is? I think not. So, with this, you avoid the poisons and you bless the rest of it that joins together to create a healthier person entirely.
So that's just an interesting conversation, because I will tell you, and if you yourself kind of monitored any of our activities in Japan, it's just access to foods that are less contaminated as well. I mean, because one of the very interesting things, like for example, the green tea that's used in Japan seems to really have some healthful effects. You can drink it cold, you can drink it wherever, but yet we come back to the United States, and if there's green tea, and especially if you're on the run and you want bottled green tea, there's going to be things put in there. And so, you know, you're left to making your own, hoping that the green tea leaves, if they're made in the United States, aren't messed with. It goes the same with anything made of flour. It goes the same now with, I had an interesting thing because I wanted to start making some sticky rice, and just trying to find sticky rice that was the best we could. But the amazing thing is they were all made in the United States. They were not brought in from another country that we knew potentially weren't contaminated. So I find this the conversation very interesting. But what my experience is right now is access to non-contaminated foods, because although processed foods obviously would be on the top of the list of having problems, things with refined sugars would be a problem. Honestly, right now, it is hard to find anything on the shelves. It's very difficult, you know, and then you go down to the fruits and vegetables, and just you're hoping for the best there because you don't really know what was used on them. So in the United States, I'm just going to stick with the United States, I have found this conversation very difficult to put into practice. So I appreciate the thought of shungite you're saying can help, because maybe putting a couple pieces, I guess, in your refrigerator and freezer and around where your food are could also start to nullify the effects. But do you agree with me that especially in this country, access to uncontaminated food is maybe harder than other countries?
Very much so, and your Australian continent as well. However, in spots in your European nations, your Asian nations, those would be countries that are lacking in these poisons. Your Japan country, island, for instance, has virtually no contaminants whatsoever. This is why you experience such a joy in the eating of the food, because the energies were at their most natural and the genetics of the plants were at their most natural. Now, within your United States, there are farming communities, that one of which you encountered in Yuma, Arizona, that produce genetically engineered plants, where they engineer a thread of poison within the plants This was not done by the individuals at these communities, but it was done, let's just say, higher up, for lack of a better term. The very beings that I aforementioned house within these plants different contaminants, very much like your nicotine is for your tobacco. This was introduced long ago as an unnatural adaptation to the plant. However, it can be weeded out through intention over a period of time. But again, I digress. The foods that are the most healthy, even if they're part of these genetically engineered strains, are those that you grow yourself. Again, not dumping on or slamming any of the businesses or people listening that I've pointed out, but most of these engineered and chemically ridden foods are within your major grocery chains. These are places where we cannot tread because these toxins will harm us considerably more than you. You have gained a small amount of immunity being around it, but an immunity permanently to it. No. This will happen maybe if you had more centuries and centuries to adapt to some of these poisons, but they were made in such a way that they turn off some of your adaptation rates. This is why you feel weaker after you've eaten them, because your body has a propensity to adapt to anything. The human genome can adapt to anything, but you have a virus within you that causes more weight to make you slower and weaker. The foods reinforce this because they also have an adaptation that take away your adaptation rate, so the poison trickles through you more. There are certain aspects of this, again, that were gained on different worlds by the servants of the dark, faceless ones, as you call them, and other beings that wish these resources. Now, certain energies are gained from yourselves by being in these dilapidated states, or debilitated states. This is why they introduce these things to you. Say your white refined sugar, for instance, is the most addicting of all the substances that you currently consume. And I mean the most addictive, because people don't even recognize it as a poison. Now, you have your drugs, which are the cocaine and heroin, also made from plants. Would you consume them within your foods? This was tried once by your cabal insurgencies, once, within your fast foods. But this was quickly realized, so they had to come up with something that no one would ever think to look at, that was something you cooked with on a regular basis. That is the white refined sugar. Brown is fine because it comes from the plant itself. Right from the plant, you can even pick it straight from the plant, even with some of the adaptations that have taken place. But I digress in that area. The white in the bags, doesn't matter which company makes it, it is the same source that creates it out there. It is not even created on your own world. Even in the factories that do refine it, the process by which turns it into poison is created off-world within your system by those you would call Nazis. They are doing this within an area of your system we will not mention currently. Just know that the sugars that you covet, and are indeed delicious, we understand, most of us understand this anyway, are toxic to you on virtually every level possible. That's what I wish to say.
So again, something simple people could consider is making their own sweets every now and then, but use brown sugar
Yes.
as a substitute. And it's not, you're not saying they have to never have a cookie again.
No.
So, it's going to start with some of these small changes and doing what you can. So I don't know how long we've actually been talking, but I think this is probably an interesting place to stop. So I think what we'll do is we'll also add in the recording that was done the other day. So I'm just going to leave this to you because I'm assuming we're going to talk quite a bit. So Chucky, any last words? What would you like to say to everyone?
The only thing I wish to say is this. When encountering any obstacle, no matter how small or large, gauge how you react to these obstacles and the walls that you create in the process. Because the walls you create determine how much inner work you have yet to do, whether it's PTSD creating the walls from all the hidden, or something else that is more immediately familial related, or friend related, or what have you. Just know that the walls you create determine the work that needs to be done. The thickness of the wall determines the range of what needs to be corrected. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh. Everything's much more vibrant. Oh, he portaled away. There, looks like all of them are going and just leaving. So, well, with that, I thank all the beings that were out here today, not just the forest people, but the beings that look like they have saw blades on their faces. I don't know what to call you. I'm sorry. Moss-like people that were over here somewhere, and whoever's looking back at me from that stump over there that's underneath that log. Not sure who you are. You just have a face looking at me. I'm not sure. Thank you to everybody here, and thank you for watching this episode of The World of Sasquatch. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Hello, everyone. I know you just heard the World of Sasquatch, but this was the tree that Chucky was in right here, with the moss sitting on top right here. And this is part of this large tree here, but as you can see, it's all split down the ends. There's an extreme amount of bugs out here. So let's see here. And see, this is how far up it was. He was about here, where the middle of the screen is, right here. That's where his head was, where he was looking down at me from. So I'm going to first take this doll that you saw on the broadcast and gift this to them. And I'm taking this shungite here and going to gift those pieces to them. But first, what I did here with this doll was I took 2 sticks, see, right here, and just ordinary sticks or twigs, and wrapped it in leather. I'm not saying you have to do that part. Feather and beads. All of this. There's even a little bone here on the end. And see, all wrapped together for a gift for the forest people. I do things this elaborately for them because they deserve to have something this elaborately done. Granted, you can leave stones and such like we always do too, but I choose to do things this way. So what I will do, and without tripping, is go back here and place this doll right here, right there, in between this tree. This is where, again, where he was standing. And right there. So, we'll now take the shungite pieces. And this, I know there's very sooty. When you get shungite, everybody, it's very sooty. So, I'm going to throw one off that way. Here. Off this way. And I'm going to plop one in right here, right where he was standing. And this was the road we were telling you about that Had all the noisy people going along it. And this is the rest of the forest here. Thank you, everyone. Peace be with all of you. My name is not important, but my message is what will get out currently. My time is limited. I am speaking as a representative of what you would know of as the Sasquatch or forest people within your American Northwest. We each have different, you would say, rulers or governors for different areas. Some of the dwarven and leprechaun species do the same for their own kind. Some are more like Senate or governorship type positions, but I digress. The message I wish to bring across is this. Many of you conjure things, either without knowing or do things intentionally, either towards us or towards your own kind, or other elemental-based species, as you would call them. This is not acceptable behavior. I know some of you do not know. Those are the people that we are not rendering this judgment. And yes, this is a judgment or an observation. The things you conjure and the doorways you open harm all around you. You do this intentionally, also thinking that it is a link to something divine. No. We are asking that you discern, please, for the sake of both of our races and others, that you discern what it is that you are doing and what it is that you are using and for what purpose. You would not use a tool, say a hammer, and not know or have a purpose as to why you're holding the hammer or using it. You could either be hammering a nail in, or the head of someone else, or even a plant or an animal. There are two ways that something can be used. You must be aware of, say, a Ouija board, if it conjures a jinn or opens a portal or doorway. A pendulum can be all right, except for the fact that it too can open a portal or doorway if done in a particular rotation, particular hemisphere, particular grid point, and a particular intention point. It is a complicated subject, more so than you realize in that factor. Tarot cards are of little consequence to us, but they too can be turned into a form of negative divination. Not as much as the other two, and not as much as the Ouija boards. Now, I must also revert back to intention. Many of your groups that are out there currently, and I mean what you would refer to as Sasquatch hunter groups, either in the negative weaponized connotation or the scientific connotation, or even the spiritual connotation as your paranormal groups go with your devices and your divination tools. We are asking from one set of brothers and sisters to another that this cease. We are not saying that you cannot communicate with us, but there is a fine line between communication and overstepping bounds and pestering. We see it as the latter, unfortunately, because it has happened so much. When you go yelling into the woods, you also push your intention and energy forward, permeating an area. And in this particular juncture, just because we do it in a particular tone and vibration that your species is not at currently. You are trying to mimic what is not mimicable at this point in time for you in all the tones, vibration, and dimensional aspects, let's say, or quantum areas of being. We're not saying you are not getting there. We're just saying that the vibration you are currently at then echoes across the hillside. Therefore, we hear it, and it interrupts our thought train, you would say, because it is a thought form being placed out there. Yes, your intention is good, or at least with some of you. The ones that are completely unacceptable are the ones with the weapons. We do not allow weapons of any kind into our territories. Know this and beware and wary of when you come into our territories armed. We know you must protect yourselves, but we cannot risk our colonies with your weaponry of any kind, knife or firearm. Spear and stick type things are acceptable for outer protection, as well as protective tools of the spiritual kind only. Remember this when you enter our territories, please. Also, your ghost boxes and your paranormal tools emit frequencies that are toxic to us. Remember this, please. And the scientific groups that wish to measure our footprints and wish to communicate with us, there is a line that you must not cross, meaning physical barriers of X's, physical lines, breaking points. These are all denoting signposts. Please do not cross into our territory with the intention of proving we exist. We will get to that point when we wish, not before. We wish communications, yes. We wholeheartedly do. We wish to show ourselves to mankind, but on our schedule, not yours. We wish to communicate, and I know you wish to communicate with us and find all about our people and our histories together. We would like nothing more. But please follow our guidelines and our territorial lines. We will come to you when we are ready to communicate. And we know some of you entering this territory psychically, like all of you wish to communicate with your open hearts, and we cherish this. However, if your intention is proof rather than intention and heart space, we will have nothing of it. This is what I wish to communicate, other than please be careful what you are around, what your thought forms are, not in a paranoid way, mind you. Have a full spectrum of emotions, work through all the things you wish to work through. We can tell the difference between someone who is belligerent and someone who is going through pain of past traumas that have been hidden, such as alien abduction and secret space program, government, all of that. We know the differences. So do not fret over upsetting us over these things and broadcasting these things, as we know it was something done to you and not by you. Just know that there are these restrictions. Just know you must discern. In that way, then we will communicate with you in the time that we know and your source creator knows is correct. I am not broadcasting my name currently, but I will return on these programs the more trusting I become of this particular medium. I am new to this, and so is my group, and I thank you all for listening. Blessings to all of you.